Today we're going to be checking out, or in this case revisiting, the NECA Toys Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives Retro Cloth Jason Voorhees. Now the reason why I said revisit is because I've already looked at this retro cloth Jason before. In fact, I've looked at all the retro cloth Jasons. But I thought, you know what, I've been kind of going back and revisiting all the Jason Voorhees figures from my collection. Why not go back and look at the retro cloth ones as well? Because there's some positive merits collecting these ones versus the plastic action figure or plastic figure versions of Jason Voorhees. Before we do that and discuss things further, let's grab the tape measure. Retro Cloth Part 6 Jason stands just shy of, just a little over, I should say, 8 inches tall. Now, if you compare him, say, to the plastic version, which I just so happen to have here, it's like I prepared myself for this. Here we have the retro cloth Jason here. Here we have the ultimate Jason Voorhees from Part 6, also from NECA Toys. Let's get some dimensions going for this guy. He stands at about 7.5 inches tall. Now, I've already re-reviewed this guy. Looked at him initially, revisited him in a throwback, but also want to show you something that's so drastically different between the two figures. Now, many people have asked me, of the two, what do I prefer more? The retro cloth or the plastic figures? Now, I have to honestly say I go more towards the plastic figures because when I was growing up, plastic action figures was it for me. I still like the retro cloth, but my heart is in plastic. That's really for me. If you collected Mego, for example, you might probably find these to be a little bit more appealing than the plastic versions here. So normally I would say I like the plastic versions of Jason more than I like the retro cloth. This happens to be a very strange circumstance in which my opinions are absolutely swapped. While the plastic Ultimate Part 6 Jason had true merits and good things to what I liked so much about the figure, I feel strongly more compelled to say that I like the retro cloth Jason more so of the two figures. And I'll talk about that more so as we obviously look at the figures themselves. The figures themselves are both based on Part 6 Jason, but I honestly find like the retro cloth version of him looks more like he did in the movie than this one right here. Specifically, let's hold the two up side by side so you can see what I'm talking about. Specifically, I find the mask and the head sculpt to be better on this Jason than this one right here. For fans of Part 6, you'll know that the Part 6 mask is a more notable round mask than that of an oval or egg-shaped mask. And yet, unfortunately, just I guess due to the mediums that they used, the Ultimate Part 6 Jason utilized a more oval or egg-shaped mask, which is really completely wrong. The rounder mask in Part 6 fits better and looks more accurate on the retro cloth version of him than it does on the plastic version of him on the side here. I also do find like the coloring to be drastically different between the two as well, whereas I think this one doesn't have, like, the green in his jacket or shirt doesn't quite match that more of the movie. I find it's a little bit closer to this one here, but the head sculpt, and I think the overall execution, I have to honestly give it to retro cloth Part 6 Jason than I would here to, you know, the ultimate Jason here. Now, obviously, you will want to see some unmasking, so we'll just get the figures to stand properly. Go ahead and take, you know what, just scratch that for a second. We're going to take the head off, the mask off this one first. A very, again, gruesome looking portrayal of Jason Voorhees, which, as I mentioned, you don't really see in the movie. You kind of see like the rain falling on him. He's in dark, low-lit areas. You can see behind the scenes pictures of Jason where he looks like this, but he's almost closer to like a greenish gray rather than the swamp green that this Jason has. Again, we've looked at this figure now, I guess twice. Technically 3 times if you count the fact that the second time I looked at him, the video got cut off. I don't know what happened there, so I had to repost it. Let's go ahead and take the Jason mask off this one so you can see the differencing between the two. Now, again, coloring and sculpt, I actually think is better on the retro cloth than I do think is on the Ultimate Jason here. He's a little bit more gray, something that I was talking about with those behind-the-scenes photos. He's a little bit more accurate, I think, for the color scheme. His face is roughly about the same sculpt, give or take. But I think this is a much far superior head sculpt than this one right here. Now, I know one thing, somebody is screaming at me right now. Somebody's yelling through their monitor, "Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, can you show us?" I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Can you show us retro cloth Jason? Because you said the mask is more accurate to the movie. Can you show what it would look like on Ultimate Jason here? I will accommodate such a request. Before we do that, though, just want to again show you the differencing between the masks. It is, you know, similar. The gash is a little bit more notable here on this side. The coloring is much more accurate to the movie, where you've got more that brownish beige color than the lighter beige was on the Ultimate. And of course the round, it's slightly off though. It's got this weird slight kind of curve on the one side, but it's definitely more a round shape than the other Jason mask. So yes, I will accommodate such a request. We're going to go ahead and take the mask. It's not going to fit completely, but it is interesting. If you take it from like the strap end of it, the mask doesn't look right. It's like, no, that's not working. That's not working. However, if you take the mask and hold it, so I can actually do this here, hold it really from like the chin point of it. I'm gonna try my best here. You actually hold it to the chin, or really just hold it against his face. It has a slight bit gap to it, but the front, there we go. The front, it looks perfect. It makes me almost think, if I just do that like that, it makes me almost think if I could just somehow, and I don't have two of these, because if I had two of these, I would do this in a heartbeat. Take the straps off this one. See where I'm going with this? Put the straps on this one and display Jason here with the retro cloth mask. Now again, I know it's going to be, there's going to be a little bit of gappage there from the top and from the bottom, but you probably would agree that looks definitely more definitive to Jason from part 6 than what this mask ended up being. The other thing that the retro cloth version does have is the closed over eyes, so you don't see Jason's eyes in the movie, or in this case the figure. Yeah, that's a definitely a better look to Jason, because his mask is a lot bigger, a lot bigger than his head in the movie. So, I might actually, I don't want to ruin, I would almost pick up two of these, I would pick up a second one of these and another one of these, and I would do a little bit of customization. So you can see that there is a possibility for swapping the masks out. Alright, so we'll put Ultimate Jason there. We'll put the mask back on Retro Cloth Jason. Now, because the Retro Cloth Jasons are utilizing the same body, the mold underneath will just be regular flesh tone, and you can see how the collar kind of just goes so far down. After that, muscular chest. Jason, I had no idea. So you want to make sure that is always velcroed closed, just so it doesn't look a little awkward. It's got some nice blood, and you could say it's paint, like with the paintballs. It kind of looks a little bit more like blood to my liking. I got some little hairs and stuff all over this figure. I don't know how. Cat must have been rolling all over it. Some nice dirtied up pants, slacks with some blood on that. And of course his feet down below. One of the drawbacks to the retro cloth figures is over time I find the feet get a little loose. Just a little bit loose, unfortunately. Of course he's got his gloves. Looks a little weird on Jason for part 6, but at any rate. He does have the same utility belt with the sheath on the side for his machete. A little sheath on the side for his knife, his hunting knife, and he's got those little darts on the side pocket. It almost looks like it's the exact same. The sheath for the knife is obviously a little bit longer, so it can be said for the machete, but it looks like the belt almost exactly the same. It is obviously smaller here on the Ultimate. I'm going to move this guy completely off the side because, I mean, I've spent so much time talking about him already. He's got his fair share. Let's spend more of our efforts to talk about Retro Cloth Part 6 Jason. So let's run through his accessories. He comes with a rather curvy machete. It didn't actually come out of the packaging that way. It came, well, out of the little Ziploc bag that I had this guy in. Slightly got curved. I'm going to have to heat that up, kind of bend that back into place. But you can fit it into his hand. No problems whatsoever. The hands are much denser, so they really make it so that you can easily fit the accessories into his hands, no problem. Or what you can also do too is take said machete, put it into said sheath, which doesn't also help the way it bends because you can see how much you have to really struggle to get it into the sheath. And you can at least keep it in his leg there. Comes also with a hunting knife, right there. Paint in some nice silver with black for the handle, right there. And that can fit into, I've got myself like a lint brush going on here. Fits right very easily into the side sheath. The other accessory that he comes with is a substantially large version of the post from the fence, as Tommy Jarvis is sticking it into Jason there. I have to come clean though that this unfortunately broke. Yeah, it because it was just so long, I guess I had it left in the bag lengthwise. I didn't detach it, and of course putting stuff on top of it, this bent and it broke. Now, I've glued this. I'm going to try this and I don't think it's going to work. It actually attaches by a peg. There's a peg on, I think on this side, attaches into a socket on this side. I've glued what I thought was the peg together. I'm going to try to pull it. I don't think it's actually going to work. No, it just pulled right from where it broke before. Well, I can display it in Jason's hand, but ultimately what will happen is I will either have to glue it again and permanently have it in his hand, or I'll have to try to find the means maybe just to tape it or something like that. Because I would likely want to display Jason with the post rather than like the machete, the knife and everything else like that. Or what I could also do too is I could make use of, segueing ourselves back to the Ultimate, I can make use of really the fence. And if you are wondering, it is longer. The Retro Cloth one is longer than the Ultimate one. But I mean, it pegs together the exact same way. I could really realistically use this one and not so much worry about having to re-glue this one again. And again, that would just display in his hand, which probably would be my go-to for displaying this figure. All right, so let's go through his posability. His head is limited. It is limited. It doesn't really do. I mean, it's on a ball joint, but it moves very, very little. The shoulders move slightly forward and back and out. Because this is also retro cloth, the fabric does hinder a little bit of the motion and movement going on there. He has a bend in the elbow, but again, very limited. Got your rotation in your hand, your waist swivel, and your forward and back motion on the legs, a bend at the knee, and you got your ankle pivot. Doesn't rotate, just got that hinge. That's all that's going on there. So, if you were to ask me once again, pose the question to me, what do you prefer, retro cloth, or do you prefer the regular 7-inch plastic figures from NECA? Normally, I would say the plastic figures, 100%. 100%. This, however, would be probably one of the few instances. Actually, that's not true. The Evil Dead Ash, I actually quite like that retro cloth figure a little bit more than I like the initial release of Ash from the 7-inch plastic versions. But I think of my favorite Jason from Part 6, I would have to give it to this one before I would give it to this one. And again, my thought process is, take the mask off, customize it, slap it on that one, and get a more accurate read of Jason. Might just consider doing that, but then that would ultimately mean that this guy doesn't have a mask. So that's Some sacrifice may be made. I might just ultimately suck it up, buy another one of these just so I can get the mask and swap them out. But there's an idea for you guys. You know, if you want to get a little bit more accurate on this one, you can make use of the mask from the retro cloth version. Today, though, we were revisiting a throwback, a go back to, as we were looking at retro cloth. This was Friday 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, Jason Voorhees. I love you so much, Jason Voorhees, in fabric outfits with a more accurate face sculpt and head and mask. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like. If you'd like to see more retro cloth Jasons, let me know down below. One of the things probably that some people are asking for is Roy. Do Roy again. That sounded wrong. Do the Roy retro cloth figure again. And I might just do that. If you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that little subscribe button down below. You're good to go. And hit that little bell down below as well. Turn on the notifications so that any future videos, you won't miss them by accident. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.